happens.
think that you have trained. I don't think you've had
I
training.
think even if you have training, you can make mistakes. There are
You can, but
pilots
that's
that
somebody that has
train for
had
thousands
training.
and thousands of hours and make mistakes. That happens. Yes.
I don't know. It's very.
That is
okay,
also the case if
as
somebody owns a gun.
Yeah, I want to push you on the gun laws.
All right.
Number 49. We should enact gun control measures in the United States. Can you elaborate what forms of gun measures?
Sure. I think that there's like certain red flag laws that seem to output to better outcomes. There's also another one that has a great deal of efficacy where I believe you are required, if you have children, that you have to lock it. Thank you very much, Beauregard Bo, tipping $1. That's amazing, dude. I really appreciate that very much, everybody. Thank you. Is that good enough, or do you need me to come up with more examples than just the two?
So I mean, can you repeat the first one real quick?
Red flag laws. We should have red flag laws.
So I'm pretty sure we already have the second one.
No, at a national level.
Okay.
I would apply these at a national level for sure.
I guess I could agree with somewhat of both those. Is there any other ones besides that? Like, are you for removing the armalite rifle, etc.?
Wait, you just agreed to reasonable gun control measures? I love that.
No, I've always been against open guns completely. I believe that you should have some form of regulation. I don't believe in any automatic weapons. I don't believe in any explosive ammunition or explosives. And I think that we may need some better forms of background checks to be able to gain the ability to own the gun.
Okay. I think.
But under that, there should never be a gun that's off limits as long as you do those checks and it's not an automatic weapon and does not have explosive ammunition.
Well, I would want to see like efficacy, right? Like, I'm not sure if it is efficacious to reducing, like having a requirement of like how many bullets can be in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're referring to magazine size, and I disagree. Magazine
size.
Well,
does it actually reduce? Like, because all I'm concerned with is I don't like a regulation for its regulation's sake. I like regulations that work, right? That actually have an empirical measure of working. Let me look that up. Hold on.
More shots in there. I don't think it would cause any more harm than what's already being done.
What? Well, let me look that up. Hold on.
There's been extended mags for as long as we can remember. There's not a single person in here old enough to remember a time where we haven't had them.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and just pull this up. This is straight from the Johns Hopkins. It's not a study, but it is Johns Hopkins. They're releasing their .edu. I'll go ahead and link it in side chat so people can observe it themselves. What did you learn about the effects of LCM bans on mass shootings? We found very encouraging effects. Our estimate was that laws that ban large capacity magazines are associated with 49% lower rate of mass shootings. On a per capita basis, we see a 70% lower rate of individuals killed in mass shootings associated with state bans of LCMs. Yeah, no, I'm now in full support of this. Full support.
Okay, can you be a little bit more specific on which ones that you're going to regulate in regards to mags?
Large capacity magazines. I don't know exactly what number that would be, but I would have to look into the exact study that.
So like a standard AR is anywhere between 15 to 30. Would you regulate the standard of that, or would you regulate the extended magazine?
I mean, I don't know. I would need to look at what numbers that they're looking at. Was it 15? Was it 10? I don't know. Right. Again, the only reason why I pull up, I want to pass laws that have efficacy, right? I don't like to create a regulation just for its regulation's sake. I want to see that like the law actually outputs beneficial outcomes. Right now in the United States, we have more people dying from firearms than any other developed country by like a long shot. It's not even close. And so like it's also currently, I don't know if it still is, but it currently, the last time it was surveyed, it was the leading killer of children in the United States. It's, to me, it's obvious. We need to do something about it.
I agree that the most dangerous person with a gun is one that doesn't know how to use it. But so Kamala Harris is against Armalite rifles and wants to ban them. Do you share similar opinions?
Again, I'm just going to go in favor of whatever is efficacious, right? If it doesn't show efficacy, I'm probably not going to be in favor of it. The answer is I don't know, is I guess, right. Because again, like, would it show, does it work? Are there states where they banned AR-15s or AR, Armalite rifles and other high capacity guns? If so, and it actually reduces deaths, great. That would not be a bad idea.
Okay. Well, whenever you look up more on it and conduct your opinion on the Armalite rifles, I'd be willing to debate you on that.
Okay. Well, it's good that you seem to be in favor of regulating guns, which is really good. A lot of people don't want that at all, not even a little bit.
As a really big gun owner, there's a lot of people in this world that I don't feel should own guns. Mm-hmm. I do think everybody has the right to, but I think that there should be some sort of policy in place to where you have to go through some kind of training. Small training. You have to do this through hunting. You have to do this, for some laws to be able to conceal carry. Yeah, I mean, in some states to be able to conceal carry, open carry. I think that should be totally reasonable for people to be able to own the gun, to at least know how to use it beforehand.
I mean, one thing that I thought about is, like, we probably should look at the way that we handle our guns, I think, needs to be rethunk. I think, like, currently it's kind of seen as like this inalienable right that ought never be taken away no matter what. But it's like, even like with voting, which is like, I would consider that, just as much of an important right as owning a gun. Yet, we have all sorts of restrictions on how someone's able to vote. Like, we say that people should have voter IDs, or they should present some sort of ID. I think that we should have, when it comes to guns, that people should, we should treat it closer to like how we treat cars, for instance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it makes sense, but I totally disagree with that, because as I had explained to you before, I am in support of a background check, but I don't think I should have to register my firearm every single time. I don't think that I should have to register my firearm in person-to-person sales, because what you're referring to would be against person-to-person sales, because it's not possible to regulate that. I'm in total disagreement. So that would definitely alter me personally, and I would not be for it. As someone that owns,
let me ask you this, right?
And trades.
It's the 1970s, and they're going to pass a law that says you can't drink and drive.
Okay.
Right? There were people that did. There were people that did say that they wanted to keep the ability to drink and drive, right? Because it was harming their liberties.
Okay.
Does that seem like it's justifiable to say?
At that time period, yes.
But now, no?
Well, I mean, the law makes sense now, and it made sense before, even though that there was a large group of people that disagreed with it and protested against it.
So hold on a sec. Let me get this straight. So it made sense back then, making that argument. Mm-hmm. Does it make sense now, or no? It does not make sense now.
I answered yes, it made sense now, and it made sense back then.
So you think that a logical argument right now in the year 2024 is people should be allowed to drink and drive?
No, like you made the statement. You said, does it make sense now? And I answered, yes, it makes sense why we would not be allowed to.
Okay. So then I'm conflating, I guess I'm assuming the opposite. So, what I'm saying that it made sense, I'm referring to their argument, right? So if I'm talking about the people in the 1970s that said, well, I don't understand why I can't drink and drive. Pretty soon, this is going to be a communist country. What are we going to do? There's going to be so many regulations and that was their argument, right? But it's like, to us in the year 2024, that's a stupid argument, right? Because we look at it as, wait, you're quantifiably harming people by doing this thing, right? We can observe that it harms people. And so what we do is we ban the thing that we know harms people, because your rights stop at where, your fist stops at where someone knows begins, right?
Yes, but I'm a little confused. Are you suggesting that person-to-person sales are bad or should be regulated?
Person-to-person what?
That was the last thing I referred to before you brought up this analogy, was person-to-person sales of guns in regards to having to register your firearm to the government.
Yes. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because through the inalienable rights of their individuals being able to own a gun, it is resulting in many deaths unnecessarily, right? Because we have a lot of things that bar, and it's mostly due to the NRA being able to successfully advocate in as many people owning guns as physically possible. And I guess like the problem that I'm having is that I can observe that this is killing people. Right. And so I bring up as an analogy, right, the right to drink and drive, right? And I believe that we should treat guns similar to how we treat cars, where, it requires licenses. It requires, more to it than just simply getting a gun, right? Because cars are dangerous and so are guns.
So as I mentioned later on, probably a week ago on the same subject with you, I'm not against having to, go and get a license for the gun per se. Let's say you had to renew that license every 25 years, but I'm not for every single year having to register the gun, etc., and have no person-to-person sales. That's completely against what I feel is okay. I actually really do support the person-to-person sales and having the ability to not have to register your firearm every single year. That would be crazy. Well, for one, I don't necessarily feel that it's even similar to vehicles. For two, I feel like why what? Why what?
Why do you think it is not similar to vehicles?
Because a gun. Wait, I don't think I'm understanding the question. They're not similar.
So you said that they are not similar to vehicles. I'm asking you. I'm making the analogy that they are similar to vehicles. So I'm asking you, why? Why are they not similar to vehicles?
So in regards to guns, most accidents with I can't say accidents. Most deaths to guns is on purpose, not by accident. In regards to vehicles, it's usually by accident.
Are you being serious right now?
Are you suggesting that most deaths by guns?
Do you have any idea how many people die through guns accidentally?
Are you aware of how many people do it on purpose?
Sure.
Are you able to get me a study that shows that it's?
I mean, it's a lot more than you think. But
I mean, I'm not saying a lot more than I think.
Even if it's like a 60-40, right? Even assuming something like that, I don't think it matters, right? I still don't find that to be less analogous to cars, right? Because there are people who own cars that absolutely deliberately kill people with their car. So, like what? Therefore what? right? The thing is that when it comes to the car, we have all sorts of regulations to prevent death, right? We tell the car manufacturer, you need to install catalytic converters. We have the gas companies not have lead in their gas. We install airbags. We install school zones. We create pedestrian-only areas. We create speed limits. We have stoplights and crosswalks and all sorts of regulations in order to prevent people dying from cars, right? Why can that not be the case when it comes to guns?
I bet if we look at this realistically, because you laughed, which some didn't really register with me, right? I will bet you that there's at least like ×3 percentage-wise of people dying on killing or dying as in like killing themselves or other people on purpose opposed to by accident. I guarantee you that the number of accidental
why don't I just
deaths
acknowledge that
guns
and then say that that's more reason to create licenses and like have these things to make sure that people who own guns are going to be responsible with that gun. Because the threat of risk is so, because what you just did, right? You took the car, right? And the thing where we're getting some utility out of it, right? We've got the some utility in the fact that you can get from point A to point B and like live a more free life. And then in the vice versa, occasionally accidentally somebody dies from a car. But when it comes to the gun, there's very little utility realistically, in all case scenarios. It's a lot less than a car. And even worse is that it's more harmful because it's done to deliberately hurt somebody, including yourself.
So Aminder, like I said, I do believe that they should have background checks. I do believe that they should have to go through maybe a mental evaluation, etc. And that could conduct me saying that I would agree to them having to get a license. What I'm disagreeing with is having to register the gun every year. That's what I'm disagreeing with.
Yeah, I mean, okay, fine. I'll give you this, right? I don't know if that's efficacious, but I do think that we should treat our guns more similar to how we treat cars. I will agree with more similar in regards to the license. I'll agree with that because we're already seeing this in place now. I love this. Can't defend yourself with a car. Have you heard of a lock? Yeah, you can. Sorry. Rook Spinnerd says, my conservative mother has at least 10 guns. No idea why she needs that many. It's a good point.
My dad has more than 10.
That's crazy.
I personally I think that we're almost we're similar, but yeah, I'm not for any regulations in regards to ammunition. I'm against bump stocks. I'll say that. I'm against bump stocks.
Okay.
That's about the only attachment that I'm extremely against, other than automatic.
What about lowering capacity sizes?
Yeah, I'm not for lowering the capacity size. I don't feel that it would do any good. The standard magazine.
That's not what it shows. We just went over some metrics.
Yeah. The standard magazine for an Armalite rifle is around 15 to 30 rounds.
30 rounds?
Yes, 15 to 30 rounds.
That's
just standard.
Hold on. You don't find that like nuts?
You do understand lowering capacity would mean lowering it not past the standard, but lowering is in not being allowed to use extended mags, which would mean above 30 rounds.
Yeah, 30 is pretty standard.
Yeah, 30 is a standard magazine for a.
That's a lot.
Armalite rifle.
I feel like that's a lot.
That is a lot. That is a lot. And this is
I know
when
it comes to my favorite gun to shoot, I don't know what it was. It was like some sort of a bolt action. Had a big bullet, and it had this lever action. You could only really load in like 5 bullets, but man, that thing was powerful. Holy crap, it was cool. I really liked that. Right, that's a cool gun, right? It took, and it takes quite a bit of time to kind of undo it and reload it. A lot of effort, right? And it's like I can't imagine a mass shooting be even remotely possible with a gun like that? Much better for hunting, though, I'm sure.
So Amender, I do want to point out that most of the time these shootings, they don't even get up to that 30 round mag. So to have an extended mag wouldn't really make sense unless they're spraying and praying. By the time they get to that 30 round, normally they're already going to be dealt with in a large crowd.
Okay, but you understand that, like, if there was 15 bullets, right, that would be more than likely less death than if there were 30 bullets, right?
I don't feel that it would be any different. They're probably not even going to get past that 15, regardless if they had a standard 30 round mag.
But what if they do?
They would just carry more than one 15-round mag.
CMFP, we have a.
Do you know how
1v1?
Do you know how long that it takes?
We're still doing this. I apologize. We had to move from the stage to. We had to move from the stage to here because it was just glitching for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're still recording.
Apologies. Yeah.
Are you aware of how long it takes to reload an Armalite rifle? Are you there?
I'm trying to think. Like when I was. I'm going to say. Do you already have the like a separate magazine already loaded?
Yeah. Normally, if someone's gonna do something like
less than 10 seconds.
Yeah. Far less than 10 seconds. Actually,
Yeah.
It takes about like 2 seconds.
Well, I'm assuming you're moving and you're messing it up. But me doing it 10 seconds.
It takes about like a second and a half to 2 seconds. It's literally It doesn't take long at all.
All right, but it still is like more that you have to carry, and it's like this additional like cumbersome. I guess like the point that I'm trying to make is like if I gave you a gun that has like a 30 magazine round, and like I had to and I was in a crowd and I had a gun of 15, I promise you I would kill less people than you. Like that's like a no-brainer.
I think that we would both die before we got up to that 30 round. You would die before you got to the 50. I would die before I got to the 30.
What if that's not the case, though?
Yeah, and what if you step outside and get struck by lightning, Amender? We can't go off of
That's not a matter of like getting struck by lightning. I'm saying like it's obvious.
So the most common, well, I can't say. Okay, the most known recent shooting was with Trump. How many shots did he get off before he got killed?
That's with Secret Service. What? What is this argument?
All right, the most recent one.
You realize people often like when it comes to these shooters, they're often alive for several minutes.
Hold on.
Right? Sometimes excess of 30 minutes going around hunting people.
I'm giving you a more recent one without Secret Service. In Kentucky, there was just a mass shooting on the highway, right? He was able to get off and hit 6 people. That's it. 6.
Okay.
6 bullets. That's it.
As opposed to what? When, I don't know, Columbine? What is this argument?
It was an Armalite rifle. He got up to 6 rounds before he got taken out.
Okay, but that's not a guarantee, dude. That's not a guarantee. What does it matter if the round, the amount of times you have to reload goes from 30 to say 10? What does it matter to you?
Because it's more regulations for no reason.
But it shows efficacy. What do you mean no reason? It's got reason.
I don't see a reason because in scenarios like this, it's the only person that's going to use the extended mag is the criminal, not the person defending their home or other people. I'm curious
if you are consistent in this. Let's say that I have here a carnival game, right, where there is some milk bottles that you have to throw rubber balls at and get them to knock over, okay? I hand you 2 buckets. One of them is 15 balls, and then the other one is 30 balls. Which one do you think has a higher probability of knocking those milk cartons over?
This isn't a realistic, this is very...
That's a very realistic scenario.
No, because the milk carton's not shooting back at me.
Dude,
so it's not
I'm asking you, defenseless milk carton... There can be defenseless crowds. It doesn't matter. The point is that which one do you think has a higher probability of knocking over the milk cartons?
Usually in large crowds, who's usually there?
Which one do you think has a higher
usually there?
probability?
I'm not answering a question that's used in an argument that isn't even like you're not structuring
Because
it
it's
to where
obvious.
it's
Because what
realistic.
happens is that people go into things like schools where nobody has guns, and sometimes they go several hours inside a gun, inside a school freely. That's a problem, right? And having these larger magazine
what
sizes
school you guys
only
go to.
bolsters the threat level, right? Because increasing the bullet rounds from 10 to 30 obviously means more death. Period.
I don't know what school that you go to or what school you have around you, etc. But we have SROs walking around the school every day.
How often is it? I swear to God, I love this, dude. These SROs, they sit there and they collect their paycheck day in and day out. And it is so often in these shootings that the SRO books it, dude. They're like, no, dude, I'm not going in there with this crazy shooter. They literally leave and wait for SWAT to arrive. No, the SRO isn't doing anything. That's quite common.
I don't know about your school, but in our school, as I just went there last week, the first person to greet you at the door.
Okay, well,
is
there's
the
plenty
CEO
of
as they
news
let you in.
incidents where the opposite happens. Now what? Where do we go?
Well,
Reducing
I
the
guess we
reducing
need
the
to fix our
capacity
school
size
system.
is efficacious, and I showed it to you in the John Hopkins medicine. I've shown it to you, right?
guess we need
You
to
said
fix
that
our
it wasn't
school.
efficacious,
That's not
or
the
you
case.
said something that that you don't see a reason to apply a regulation that doesn't have any efficacy, but it does have efficacy. We know it does.
Let me throw you a good curveball. You want a really good topic that I got? Should teachers be allowed to carry guns in school?
No,
I disagree.
no. It's idiotic.
I
It's one of the
wholeheartedly
dumbest
disagree.
things ever.
No, I disagree.
What? The problem with
Your
this
your
is
complaint
the problem
is
with this is
that
there's
they
a
don't
couple
have
of
a
things.
gun.
The teachers need to be focusing on teaching, not becoming like, I don't know, a freaking Spetzner while at the same time having to teach your kids. The second thing is by having a gun physically at the campus, that is a higher probability of somebody getting access to that gun. Right? For every single gun that a teacher owns or has locked away somewhere is a probability of a security risk, right? So no, absolutely not. There is no way that will output to a better outcome. Zero.
I disagree. I think that you could have the gun on in a safe where it's fingerprint accessed and maybe
And
maybe
you know what
key.
happens with
Hold on.
humans? They're
Well,
pretty
what's that?
neglectful, a lot. They make mistakes. Do you know why? Because they're human. So if I introduced 1 gun, 2 gun, 5 guns, a gun for every teacher, the probability, the risk scenario analysis goes way up. This does not decrease death. This increases death. By
How do you know?
introducing
We've never
more
done it.
guns into the school, no joke, lo and behold, causes more death. Who would have thunk?
You just sat here and told me they go into a place where there is not anyone with a gun. What evens out someone with a gun? Someone else with a gun, right?
No.
These teachers should have to, if they so choose, and they don't have to. I feel that they
Clips,
should
we have
have
400 million guns in the United States. It's more guns than any other country per capita by a long shot, right? We have more deaths than any country, any developed country by a long shot per capita. And now, so my problem to you is this, Boss Clips. How many, if you say that a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with the gun, then I'm going to ask you, how many more guns? 1 billion? 1.5 billion? What are we talking here?
I never said more guns. I said the ability to use that gun.
We already have tons of guns, right? So lots of good people with guns, but the problem is that there's kind of a bell curve when it comes to good people with guns and bad people with guns. And there's also excess people who just get aggressive for no reason whatsoever. There's a lot of people who kill their spouses because they just get angry in an argument. It's super sad to see this happen. And it's like, I don't know, like when it comes to like me bringing up efficacious arguments, people just, I don't know, don't want to listen or like change their opinion, I guess.
Sorry, I'm eating. Yeah, so I inherently disagree. I think we should be allowed to have teachers have the ability, if they so choose, to go through extensive training to be allowed to carry that gun inside a school to protect.
I actually don't think there's
the
any
children.
regulation of a teacher being able to own a gun and use it. Right? I don't think there is. But
What do you
I'm letting you know that
Give me an example. Wait, hold on.
I-
Hold on. You
I'm
can't
not
move past
aware
it.
if there is a
You gotta-
regulation that specifically bars teachers from not being able to carry a gun.
Yeah, they're not allowed to carry a gun in the school. Yeah,
Is
that's,
that the case?
definitely a thing. For sure. Yeah.
Based. Shouldn't be carrying a gun in school.
It shouldn't be the case, actually. I wish they was
shouldn't be-
almost
shouldn't
getting
be
ready
it.
to pass this in Kentucky. I had a teacher.
Yeah, it's going to be that
was
will literally
trying
have the
to
opposite
sign up
results.
for it.
You're going to have a single. But this is I'm going to predict the future for you right now. Here, watch. I'm going to do it right now. Okay, I got it. So here's what's going to happen when Kentucky finally passes it. They're going to pass it for a while, and then 4 months are going to go by, and then all of a sudden there's going to be a kid who happened to get a hold of the gun, and then they're going to shoot a bunch of people, and then they're going to remove that law. There you go. I predicted the future for you.
How are they going to get a hold of this gun?
Well, there was a teacher that was just slightly neglectful one day, right? And then they just forgot to unlock it. And then because they forgot to unlock it, the one crazy kid grabbed the gun and started shooting people.
Well, if they forgot to unlock it, then how would they ever get it? They forgot to unlock it, right? So how do they get the gun?
Or hell,
unlock.
maybe the locker was just maybe it was just a faulty
Maybe the
lock.
gun just,
Maybe
like,
they managed.
teleported
Maybe they
out of the
cut the
gun
lock
safe.
off. Who knows? Kids are crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I have a
It's
gun
not hard to
safe
cut
in
a
my
bike
room.
lock.
Oh,
It's not hard to cut a fucking lock.
that is
a
insane
locker
to
lock.
think that I'm talking about a locker lock, buddy. I'm talking about a safe.
Well, the guy thought it was good enough. I'm sure they thought it was good enough.
I dare you to take anything that you so choose other than explosives to try to open up my safe.
Yeah. I don't think that matters.
How long?
You're
do you think
assuming
it'll
that
take?
they're all going to be using safes, and
No,
I'm saying that
saying
by
it should be
introducing the gun,
regulated to where they have
this
to
is a
use
risk
safes.
analysis for every single situation. I'm sorry.
No, you're thinking that I'm saying let them go scot free with the gun walking around the school. No, I'm saying that they inside the classroom there should be
it
a
looks
safe.
like I have Hopper here that wants to chime in, so I'm going to let Hopper chime in. Go ahead, Hopper. You can unmute.
Yeah, well, I mean, most I know a couple of schools, right? They have like their own little cops or whatever. They carry guns and whatnot. I wouldn't be opposed to teachers carrying guns, and you could argue it like up and down all day, or even put like a safe in the classroom or like a specific place in the school, right? But like inevitably, a lock doesn't stop someone; it deters someone. So you'd be arguing, like how much having a gun with a teacher having access to it would help in the event of a shooter, right? Versus like the chances that a kid like manages to break into said safe or snag said gun off of a
The
person.
chance is
Like
extremely low.
The chance may be possible, right?
I don't
really
even
low,
think it's
but
possible.
like no,
They would have to leave that student inside the classroom with extensive tools to sit there for over 8 hours. To sit
Sure,
there and
but
hammer away or whatever they got to do. And even then, very
I'm with-
unlikely they open it.
I'm with you, boss. Like having a teacher have a firearm in a school or whatever, because the chance of a child getting a hold of said firearm, right, is no different than a parent locking it up in their house to whatever extent.
Except you can multiply that by like what, 20? Because like you're not talking about, one kid in the house. You're not talking about 20 plus kids that may be mentally unstable and going through puberty and even more mentally unstable. Like this is
any
just
different?
begging for a problem.
Is that any different than having like an armed police officer who works at the school every day?
Well,
Like,
they always
couldn't-
have it on their holster. They can't, and that's
Sure.
literally their
More
duty.
dangerous.
And-
It
pull
is
that gun
more
in.
dangerous.
But at the end of the
to have
day,
it
the
on their
guy just
holster.
runs like everybody else.
Aminder, it is far more likely that a child could get a hold of the gun that's on the side of that officer than it is likely that they could break in that safe before someone notices. And by the way, that's even if you left them alone. Let's say you left them overnight with all the tools they could possibly use. It is very unlikely they're ever getting through that safe.
There's
It
always gonna
depends
be a
on the
risk.
safe, depends on what's happening. I'm sorry, it's just not worthy of the risk.
And
Any
I
gun
said
you
regulation.
introduce is going to be additional risk. Period. There's no way that you're going to walk away from this.
That's insane.
I think there'll always be a risk, right? But like if you, best case scenario, right, had the most advancedly trained super RoboCop teacher with whether the firearm's on them or locked in a safe, I think, and that teacher was committed to fighting a school shooter, right? Or at least defending their own classroom. I think they would do better to deter than the odd chance that someone actually, like some Mission Impossible child, actually manages to break into the said safe. More likely to happen in your own home with your own child taking your firearm
Agreed.
than I would believe in a school, unless that child just so happened to be like a safe nut.
And even then, that's still highly unlikely.
But I get it. Like I understand the risk, but I don't know. It's a tough one, I suppose.
No guns
That's
in
all.
the school.
I disagree.
Smart move.
We'll have to agree to disagree, man.
Yep.
I actually.
Well, we'll see what
I'm
happens
so
in
far
Kentucky
against
when that
it.
kid dies in 4 months.
Wow.
I'm letting you know that that's going to happen. Like I
Wanna
promise
know
you
what's gonna
that.
happen, Minder?
I
Wanna know what's
promise
gonna
you
happen?
that.
You'll never hear it of another school shooting in Kentucky again. That's what'll happen.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll never hear about it.
Good luck. We'll see. Yeah, guys,
Well-
let's introduce some guns in the school and just wait and see what happens. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you put it like that, but that's not how it is. No. I'm saying they need to go through extensive training. It needs to be regulated to the point to where they have to have specific safes that they have tested to make sure that within like an 8-hour period of time that you can't break through it. Inside the classroom, all times, gun can only be unlocked.
That's if they got a
in
nice,
the case of
expensive
lockdown.
safe, but who's to say that they're not going to do an expensive safe? Maybe they do an inexpensive
I said
safe.
it had to be regulated. I don't know. I'm
All
not
right,
saying
well,
this.
it's got to be
teacher
this
has to
thickness,
go-
this clad. All right, whatever, bro.
Oh, fine. That's fine. Absolutely. And it
How about
shouldn't be
just
on the
not
thing.
have the stupid
School
gun?
should supply it
It's
all,
just stupid.
to begin with.
It's just stupid.
Well, I
It's
mean
dumb.
that would
Come
be
on.
so cool if the fact that kids aren't coming into schools with guns in the first place, right? That would be a really good concept. Oh, let's just not bring guns in school. Yeah, we've already tried that, and several people are dying from the same shit you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Want to know how many people would die far less if teachers actually was able to carry the guns in the schools? Maybe the extra 15 students that didn't die. I mean, the 15 students that died wouldn't have if the fucking teachers could have fought back.
Can I interrupt one more time? There are states that allow teachers to carry guns in schools.
Maybe. Not
1,
Kentucky
2,
right now.
3, 4, 5,
there?
6, 7, 8. There are 8 states. As long as the teachers, under certain circumstances, or if the teacher has a permit and the required training.
Oh,
regarding
let's
the program.
look at this then. Can you give me one of the states? Let's see how many of these teachers let their students have these guns. Let's see. What can you give me a state, Hopper, please?
Actually, I'm honestly not surprised. States where teachers can carry guns with no restrictions, New Hampshire. The only ones prohibited from
Alright,
carrying
New
guns on school grounds are the students, but teachers can.
New Hampshire.
Yeah, see, right there, Texas. Was Texas on that list as well? I didn't see Texas. I don't know. Oh, wait. If board approved as part of the Guardian program, school designated marshal.
Oh, I'm not really seeing
know-
one there, Amender.
Hmm?
Hey,
Man, I'm not seeing where I'm not seeing it. I don't see it.
Not seeing what?
I'm not seeing where these students are getting these teachers' firearm.
It doesn't look like there's any studies on this.
Well, I mean,
I'm pulling it up
would
on
be
Ran-
on the
on the
news if
Rand-
it happened.
Okay,
It would
well,
be on the news for sure if it happened.
well, no, it hasn't been studied. That's the problem.
Man, I don't care about the study. I care about the facts. The facts
That's what a
that
study
nobody
is.
happened. Okay, but I'm
my
looking
goodness.
at the news. I'm looking at the news, and I'm not seeing anything on here that shows anything similar to what you said would happen. You said it would happen. Where is it
Yeah,
happening?
it would happen. I do think
Okay,
it will.
but when?
I don't know.
Now these schools are protected for
I
how
don't know,
long?
but I
Right?
promise you the day that it's something like that does happen,
You
you're
got
absolutely
cooked
going to
on
have a
this
problem.
one. Sorry, buddy. You really got
I
cooked.
completely disagree with you.
You can disagree with it, but you definitely could not argue the point. And I actually, I thank you, Hopper, because I was unaware that any state had this, and now that there is states that have this, it makes his argument just completely fold. But I'll let somebody else go up.
All right. All right, hold on. Let's see here.
That was a good talk. That was a good talk, by the way.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
When you changing your opinion on the guns in schools?
You have not changed my opinion whatsoever on that. And by the way, we were talking about reasonable regulations regarding guns.
I know, but I feel like you should put that as your hot take because I feel like that is a hot take.
Well, specifically, it says 94. We need to apply gun legislation that is
I'm not saying that.
empirically shown to work at a federal level in the United States.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying add another hot take that is the one that I brought up, like the separate second debate that I brought up. You know, I said I have one that's really gonna get you, and then I mentioned the guns in schools. You should put that as a hot take because I feel like, most people feel safer whenever there is a gun around.
I don't feel safer when there's a gun.
I feel a lot safer.
I never feel safer with a gun around. Never. I have never felt that ever.
You've never
Never.
So hypothetically,
even people like I perfectly trust with a gun, I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, that is an additional potential risk, right? Because it's like usually when people are getting shot with a gun, it's usually not a good guy with a gun. What happens is that the good guy who had a gun could lose their gun, and then that person is then using the gun for ill intent. That happens all the time. And it's like, and the other problem that happens is that it's very, very common. A lot of people think that like shootouts and guns are like the movies where it's like you're 10, 20 feet away, when in reality, people are like face to face with each other. And that's how gunfights go. And they're a lot more fatal than just simple like knife fights or, or bludgeoning devices, right? It's just a very quick, very fatal way of killing somebody. And absolutely, it absolutely escalates that situation substantially.
I ask you a question.
What?
If you had proper training, would you feel safer with a gun on your side? Opposed to not having a gun
I would
at all?
feel safe with a gun on my side. Like I feel like I can handle that on my own, but I'm letting you know that that's an additional risk point.
I was
That's an
just
additional
asking
risk factor
if
for
you
sure.
feel safer with a gun, and you just admitted that you feel safer with a gun around.
No, that's like if I
Yeah,
have
that is
control over the gun, that's different, right? Because at least then
Well,
I know I have
asked-
control over it.
But I asked you, do you feel safer with a gun around? And you answered no. But obviously,
Yeah, I
in a
mean, if there's just
certain-
like some
hold
guy's
on,
random
you're
gun,
interrupting
yeah.
me. No, I'm saying in general, you now have displayed that you do feel comfortable whenever guns are around.
If I'm
You feel
handling
safer.
it, sure. Because then I could check the
Okay.
barrel. I
So
can
you're
like
an
open
adult,
the
right?
barrel up. I can make sure that there's no bullets in it. I can ensure that the gun is basically neutralized, right? But if it's somebody
Okay,
else's gun, I don't
Mhm.
have that option. I can't
Okay,
just
okay,
grab their
good,
gun
good.
and start inspecting it.
Good, Amender. You're an adult, correct?
Yeah.
So that means if you was in, let's say, a middle school, you would probably be a teacher in that case scenario, right? Probably would be a teacher if you're just randomly in a middle school throughout the
Thank
day,
you, Brooke, for
every
the
single
$5.
day.
That's amazing. Thank you. I have no idea what you're arguing.
I'm saying if you, as an adult, was in a middle school, you're probably a teacher, right? So if you was a teacher, you would have the ability to have that firearm, just the same as every other teacher would be. So you would feel safer with a gun around. You said you feel safer whenever you're the one that
If
can operate
I'm the
it,
one
and you're
controlling
the
the
one in
gun,
control.
because I can ensure that
Yes,
it's
but
safe,
you
right? And I
are.
know that I'm
I
a
just
rational
explained
individual,
you're
and
a
I'm not
teacher.
going to elicit risk. But one thing that I'm aware of is that people are really, really dumb. They're not good at things. It's very common that people will make mistakes. And even I make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, right? Can I possibly say with 100% certainty that I will perfectly handle this gun for the entirety of me, like holding it? No, I can't guarantee that because people make mistakes. That's normal. That happens.
Think that you have trained. I don't think you've had training.
I think even if you have training, you can make mistakes. There are pilots that train for thousands and thousands of hours and make mistakes. That happens. Yes.
I don't know. It's very.
That is also the case if somebody owns a gun.
As somebody that has used guns for a long time and had training, as well as I'd say Hopper's had shit tons more training than anybody here. Usually if somebody like me, or I'd say Hopper, makes a mistake, it's not a very big mistake. It's probably one, maybe dismantling the gun, etc. My finger never touches the trigger until I'm ready to shoot. I always clear my weapon before I pick it up. Well, unless I'm intending to shoot whatever it is for the reason I'm picking it up. But yeah, I'm pretty safe with my guns, and so far after being around guns my whole life, I think I've made one mistake.
I'm going to prove you wrong right now, right? I'm going to show you a gun instructor, and I want you to look at it real freaking close, okay? I'm going to unmute it, and I'm going to share it for everybody to see.
Okay.
All right. You
Are
guys,
you
all right,
pull up,
pull up my stream. Pull up my stream. I'll post it again in side chat. I'm removing the embeds. There you go. Top link. It says can't see the stream. Click the link. All right. So I'm just going to show it right now. It's a little delayed. I don't know, maybe like 10 seconds. But the point is all there. So here, you could see here. I'm just going to show it here. There's a gun instructor, right, that is handling a gun, and we're just going to observe this.
Trigger guard, roll your palms together. So both your hands are going to sit on the left-hand side of the pistol.
You got to remember, it's like 15, 20, 30 minutes behind.
You're right. Pull with your left. Focus on that front sight tip. Now, if you want on this 44 Magnum, you can shoot it single action. Nice light trigger pull. Did you mean to do that? Yeah.
He shoots there. I guarantee it. Guarantee you. He's got his fucking finger on the fucking.
He's a gun instructor.
I don't care what he is. He doesn't need to own a firearm.
So then it is possible for somebody to be trained with guns and make a mistake.
Amanda, I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question.
I had to mute your stream. I was getting ready to start talking to the stream. Like, yeah, okay, my bad. All right. You got to really start sharing your screen on Discord too, by the way. It makes it so difficult to talk and watch your shit while talking to you. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. To me, it's obvious, right? People are human and they make mistakes, right? They all make mistakes. And just because they're trained doesn't mean that they're going to perfectly handle the gun 100% of the time. You're talking about an increased level of risk, no matter what. By increasing the amount of guns, you increase that amount of risk, period.
With a mistake like that, as crucial as he made, I've never seen anybody do anything similar to that in real life. I think that man never needs to own another firearm.
Okay, but do you understand my point?
Yes, I understand that some people are really stupid. And they think they know how to handle firearms.
I'm not saying nobody should have guns.
No,
right?
that's not.
I never made that
argument.
argument.
Well, who said that?
I said that.
Gandalf, you are currently being recorded. You're live on YouTube, so just please. Okay.
But anyways, yeah. So I mean, I will admit that there's stupid people that may have had training. But it still doesn't defeat the fact that they're really stupid people. Yeah, I can admit that. And I think that really goes to far as not just guns, but anything. People that operate vehicles for 15 years, continue to make mistakes because they're just stupid in general. Yeah, I would agree with that. But I don't think that it has anything to do with I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that everybody makes mistakes. I think it has the fact to do with this is a stupid person that did something really stupid.
Have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons before?
Nope.
Like you roll it. Okay. So there's a concept in the game where you're like rolling a 20-sided dice, right? And let's say if your character is like really, really good at something, right? And he's basically not going to fail a roll unless if they roll a 1. Okay. And so if they're very, very good at it, right? Great. They roll, it's a 12. All right. You pass. Why? Because you didn't roll a 1, right? All right. We roll it again. It's a 15. All right. That's good. Again, you didn't roll a 1, so no fail, right? You keep rolling, right? The point is that by increasing the amount of rolls, the probability of getting a 1 is about roughly 1 in 20, right? Now, that doesn't mean within the first 20 rolls, you're going to get, but the more that you do it, the closer it gets to that exact number, right? But so the concern that I'm having is by increasing the amount of guns available, right? I don't care how trained they are. The probability of increasing the amount of injuries goes up by just that much for every single gun that is out there in the United States. And that is observable in the current metrics of the United States. When you observe the per capita deaths by gun homicides and suicides, or just overall gun crime is way higher in the United States than it is any other developed country in the world, right? Why? Because we have 400 million guns. We have more guns than people in the U.S. Okay,
rightfully so. We need more. We need more.
No,
we need to increase.
No, we need less. We need less.
No, supply and demand. We need to increase it. That way, it's more affordable for poor people to be able to have access to guns as well.
No,
we need to increase the production, supply and demand.
No.
Increase production for sure, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you, man.
I have a question for you.
No, the poor people can't afford guns. We need them to be able to afford guns too to protect themselves.
Amanda, what is your stance on the gun in general? Like, what do you said you're not against guns.
I'm not against owning guns. I think we need to look at like efficacious gun laws that we know actually work, right? Not regulation for regulation's sake, because there do exist gun laws that just have little to no effect on like what I'm trying to reduce the amount of overall deaths while at the same time making sure that it's like people still have a right to own a gun, right? Reasonable legislation such as red flag laws. I'm now on the side of decreasing magazine sizes. I'm also in favor of, if you have a kid, you are legally required to have your gun locked away. These are all things that has efficacy in working.
But
not decrease gun magazines.
What's the fix on red flag laws since they are unconstitutional?
What's the red flag law? Can you explain it? I forgot what it is.
So what it is that there are series of laws that basically are just like automatic flags. Like, for example, if you get diagnosed with like a mental condition that is seen to be harmful, if like you're known to have registered a gun and you would have had to have been licensed of having that gun, they can go in and they could potentially take your gun away because they feel that you're a threat. Right, that would be an example. Let's say a mental health evaluation, right? And they own guns. It's known that they own guns. That's a red flag law.
It's not a
How extreme is this? Like, if you have a depression, you're still gonna like not be allowed to own a gun, or like there's a limit.
It depends. The point is that we can apply laws that actually have efficacy of working. Obviously, if it has no efficacy, I'm not interested in the law. Right. I don't do regulation just because it's regulation's sake. I do regulation because I know it works. Right. And so we can observe this at a state by state levels. When it comes to states that have several more gun laws or more regulations on guns, they have lower amounts of violence, with maybe the exception of a couple being outliers, such as I believe Illinois is completely surrounded by right to carry states. And so like the city of Chicago, while it has like really good gun laws, because they're surrounded by neighboring states, they basically, people just go across the border to just get an unregistered gun and use it. That's why their gun crime is very high. But that's beside the point. The point is that you can look at every single state and then see, compare it to like population densities that are very similar. Look at a specific state where it has lower gun deaths or gun crime, and then look at the state that has very similar population density yet has higher gun crime. Okay, what are the laws that they passed? Can this be done at a federal level? But we can't even get to that point because people are, I don't know, crazy.
But the red flag laws have already been deemed unconstitutional, and it's not just a professional like a psychiatrist or someone evaluating.
So when you say something is unconstitutional, do you are you saying that because an amendment says that a well-regulated militia ought to be able to own a gun? Is that your argument?
No.
So then what do you mean by the Constitution then?
So the court held the red flag law unconstitutional because it did not treat the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms with the same dignity as the Fourth Amendment right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure.
Hold on.
So it's not just that a professional like a psychiatrist or someone evaluating a patient to diagnose that patient with a mental illness. It's not just a professional that can, they call these, I don't know, it was like a form or something that you get, like an application that you can fill out.
Okay, there are states right now in the United States with red flag laws in effect. I have no idea what you're talking about. And when you say red flag laws, that's a lot of different laws. So there could be some that are constitutional and there could be some that are unconstitutional. So I don't know what your argument is.
So, Amanda, do you think that like implementing these red flag laws will prevent people from like ever getting diagnosed or getting diagnoses?
That's just one example. There are many again, I would look at individual laws, see if it has efficacy. If it has efficacy, implement it at a federal level. It's that simple, right? I just gave you one as an example, and it's just a hypothetical. I have no idea if that even has efficacy. I would have to look it up. I'm pretty sure it does, but I would have to look at the specific red flag laws that have efficacy.
So let me ask you a question, Amender. If that's okay, anyways.
Sure.
So you was talking about, how guns cause death, etc. What about alcohol? Do you feel like we should have regulations on alcohol for how much damage it causes?
Yeah, fuck yeah. What?
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I've actually found somebody that agrees with me on that. Okay. What kind of things do you think we should put in place federally, by the way?
No drinking and driving. You got to be 21.
No. Further than what we already have.
I think if you're a violent drunkard, like you should be barred from having access to alcohol.
Okay, so you're saying like if you went to jail for...
I don't believe in prohibition, bro. Scar is telling me prohibition, dude. I do not believe in prohibition.
No, I feel like this is gonna go there.
So wait, so you believe that, let's say you get a DUI, you shouldn't be allowed to purchase alcohol after that DUI?
I don't know if that serious. I think.
Do you think there should be a limit on how much they should be allowed to purchase per day, per week, etc.?
I don't know. I would have to look at like efficacy, whether or not it's a benefit. Right.
All right. So let me ask you something else then. If you was to put any of these in place to where it would limit the purchase of alcohol in any case scenario, do you think it would raise the potential for bootleggers in every single state that went with this? Or if you made it federally, every state?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? What?
So if you made it illegal or limited them on what they could purchase of alcohol, do you think it would raise bootleggers to come into the states that you made this illegal on? Do you think it would increase the illegal purchase of alcohol?
Potentially. I mean, again, like I said, I would have to look at efficacy. Obviously, if it has low efficacy, then I wouldn't do it. Right? You're pointing out like instances where the efficacy is not good. Fair enough. We don't do it.
Okay. I think we should have tighter regulations on alcohol.
Yo.
We're still live, American.
I think we should have a limit per maybe per week that you should be allowed to purchase alcohol.
Again, I would have to see
Have a
efficacy. You know, I don't
Should we
see
have-
a need for it. Like, I have access to all the alcohol in the world, and it's not something I'm consistently abusing. You know, but I
you
mean
would,
that's
of
just
course,
me.
admit there are a lot of people that do.
There are. I don't get me wrong.
And
Like,
those
I think
that
people
do
should
tend
get
to be
help,
violent,
and
right?
you know, they just need to get help. No, not really. A lot of the times they just kind of fall over and just fall asleep, and then have a bad headache in the morning. That's a majority of people, but there are violent drunks. Sure.
Other guy.
What'd you say, Close Danger?
Close
You're not
danger.
your
We're
mother.
currently we are currently live right now.
Oh, someone in your chat, on your live chat, said something interesting.
So
Um,
37% of them are violent. It's a
So,
pretty,
Leonard, do you
it's a
think-
pretty
are you-
big number.
What are your thoughts on increasing the price of alcohol? Like just overall, give like.
I
a
mean, I
price
believe
for
New
that
York
is
did that.
super high.
I did not like it. It made me sad. Getting a single Yingling cost, I think it was $12 in New York. It was impossible to get drunk. Like a single, like a bottle that I can buy here for like $25-$30. Like this big liquor bottle was at least like $60 it was at least $60 in New York. It was terrible, and I was like, "This
Yes,
makes
Do
me
you have
sad."
any efficacy?
Hmm?
Efficacy?
Oh man.
Did it
I
show
don't.
any
I don't know.
efficacy?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Here, let me bring up this statistic for you real quick, because you said most of them fall over, etc. The link between alcohol and aggressiveness was already clear. Alcohol was a factor in up to 37% of violent crimes committed between 1997 and 2008, according to the United States Bureau of Justice Statistics.
Yeah, I don't doubt
Any
that number at
comments
all.
on that? Yeah, 37% of violent crimes was done through alcohol. That's like
Okay.
insane.
Yeah,
so
that's a lot.
therefore, I would assume drunks are violent. Correct?
No,
Or can cause you to be violent.
no, because you're looking at violent crime, and out of all of the violent crime, 37%
Large
is
percentage of
but the problem is that you're not really aware of the instances where that doesn't happen, because what doesn't get reported is the guy who's just getting drunk, takes an Uber home, and then falls asleep on the couch. like what? Well, who's to say it's not 99.9% of people aren't doing this? Like what?
I would still say 37% of all violent crimes is still quite a bit.
Sure,
regardless if it
that's
was
a
99.
relevant metric, and I think that like people who get angry at people because they're drunk, they shouldn't be drinking alcohol. I agree with you. As to whether or not that there should be a regulation, I don't know. Maybe I would have to see whether or not there's like efficacy to it, whether or not it can be effectively done. Like, and does it cause a black market, like what you're saying?
Yeah, I would assume dry states. Whenever we was a dry county, anyways, there was a lot of bootleggers. So then we became a wet state. Now there's no bootleggers.
Okay. Well, you got anything else for me?
No, I'll shut up for you. Let somebody else go up there.
Well, it's 9:27. We're almost done.